Hello and welcome to Connect Church Community Online. We're so glad you're out there listening and hope we can be an encouragement to some that may be sick, not able to go to church, some at work on Sundays, different things. Just pray that these will be a blessing to you. Today we're going to be talking about Crown the Year with Goodness, Part 3. Part 3. And so when we start thinking of it, one of these days it's going to be our last days. It's going to be toward the end of the season, as it were. And we're trying to think of these crown, God's crowning every year. But one year is going to be our last one. It's going to be our last season. Our days on earth will be up. And so when we start thinking about the rewards or the things, that we might get because we are serving Christ or whatever, and we think we're just going to lay our crowns at Jesus' feet anyway. And so when we began to look at that, I thought we'd share in 1 Corinthians 3:12 that goes along with Psalm 65:11, where it talks about crown the year with goodness. Well, let's look at it from 1 Corinthians 3, verse 12. Now, if any man builds upon this foundation gold, silver, or precious stone. Now, you're thinking that more valuable, way up there. But then here are some other ones that aren't as valuable. Wood, hay, and stubble. Okay? In 1 Corinthians 13:3, it says, every man's work will be made manifest. Now, in our culture, we got a lot of people who show out, and everybody think, they're going to get this great crown or whatever. But let me tell you something. Sometimes we over-evaluate some people, and we under-evaluate people because it is God who's going to give out the crown. It's God who's going to give out the reward. And it says, every man's work will be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. And so when I got to thinking about that, our culture, everybody gets a trophy, okay? And man, I wished everybody would go to heaven. I really do. And man, we got to work and try to get more to get saved under the sound of the gospel. But let me tell you something. Everybody's not going to go to heaven. Everybody is not good at certain things, okay? And people need to know that. And they can work on it if they want to be better, or they can try something else. But the thing is, when you're talking about Christianity and you're talking about our works, they're going to be tried. I mean, it's even going to be tried why you did it. Did you do it just to be seen of other people? Man, we're going to lose that reward. And so there's going to be a day of revealing, okay? It's going to be revealed what our work was, why we did it, how we did it, was it really hard for us? Did it come easy? All those things. And some people, it may seem like they're not doing much, but maybe it was a harder road for them to go on that. And so when we began to look at this, you got the day, not just of revealing, but the day of rewarding. So we're talking about these crowns, man. It's awesome. If you look at 1 Corinthians verse 14, it says 3 verse 14, it says, if any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. Man, I'm going to tell you what, I don't mind getting a reward. That'd be good. I don't like a whole lot of attention, but I'm going to tell you something. I want to get something from the Lord, okay? I want to get that prize, well done, my good and faithful servant. I definitely don't want on the other end of that, depart from me, you worker of iniquity, I never knew you, which is in the Bible that some people who think they're going to heaven are going to hear that one right there. But when I got to thinking that, it says, but without faith it is impossible to please him. How much faith are we living for? For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Man, I'm going to tell you what. God is a rewarder. If we didn't even get to go to heaven, God has blessed us with life. I'm telling you, there are some things down here, man, sin has come in and hurt and damaged this world. But I'm going to tell you what, even our bodies. But let me tell you, God has been good. He has blessed us. And we ought to be pleased and we ought to be grateful for that when we start thinking about that. And so when you start thinking about it, then I got to thinking, Well, when you're thinking about receiving a crown from the Lord, there's 4 crowns that I want to talk about today. There's that incorruptible crown, that spiritual crown that we want to get from the Lord. 1 Corinthians 9:24 says, "Know you not that they which run a race run all, but only one receives the prize." I mean, just like life here, it's like we're trying to be successful in life. So run that you may obtain. Verse 25, "And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown." What that means, in those days, they would get this crown that would go across over. It wasn't made of gold and precious stone. It was made of leaves and stems and twigs and stuff, and and it looked good at the beginning. But before long, it dies. Kind of like giving a flower to the one you love or something. Well, after a little bit, that flower is going to be dead, okay? And so that's corruptible. It will corrupt, okay? This body that we have one day will be corrupted, okay? That's why we're going to live in the spirit, okay? This body has aches and pains and things all about it. But it says we go for an incorruptible crown. 1 Corinthians 9:26, it says, "I run, but not uncertainty. I fight, but not as one that's beating the air." In verse 27, it says, "But I keep under my body and bring it under subjection, lest by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself might be a castaway." Man, we got a lot of lazy people playing sports and doing things, but I'm going to tell you what, you got to get out and work. You got to work at it. You got to work on your skills. You got to work on being in shape. You're not going to be the best. You ain't going to get all that if you just show up and say, "All right, I've done everything." You got to work. You got to work on your skills. And I tell you what, in the Christian life, we want that incorruptible crown. Well, some days we're going to be tired. Some days we're not going to feel like it. But you got to get up and you got to go do it. You got to do it. Let me tell you something. I may not want to read my Bible. I may not want to pray. But let me tell you, we got to keep pushing. We got to keep going. We're not perfect. And I'm going to tell you what, even when we don't feel good, sin can come in and hinder our choices in that. That incorruptible crown, that one that won't fade away, that glory. And then there's the soul winner's crown, 1 Thessalonians 2:19. "For what is our hope? What is our joy? What is our crown of rejoicing? Are not they even the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ at his coming?" Verse 8, "Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness," in 2 Timothy 4:8, "which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only." Now, there's only one winner in a race. But on this, he's going to give to people, "but unto all them that love his appearing." Man, I'm going to tell you, if we're sneaking around, we're not looking for Jesus to come back. But if we're living for him and we're looking for him to come back, let me tell you, we're going to get that crown of righteousness, that soul winner's crown. Is that he that winneth souls is wise. Let me tell you something. We're going to have that crown of rejoicing, bringing our sheaves with us as we see that. And as we go on with our crown of righteousness, you can see in James 1:2, "Blessed is a man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, woohoo, which is the Lord hath promised to them that love him." So you got the crown of righteousness, the crown of life, soul winner's crown, that rejoicing, that incorruptible crown. So when you start thinking, man, there's going to be a day of revealing. There's going to be a day of rewarding. But I'm going to tell you the sad part in this text right here is in verse 15 of 1 Corinthians 3:15. And that's where you see a day of remorse. "If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet as by fire." He may get it to heaven, but what about his family? What about his neighbors? What about his friends? Did we go for that crown? Let me tell you, let God bless you this year. Let him crown 2024 with the blessings that only God can do. Thank you so much for listening to Connect Church Community Online. God bless you, and you have a wonderful day.